All right, well, you made it back, everybody, to Chapter 2. Here we're going to figure out how Google Universal blew it and outgrew itself. We're going to go through some of the obvious attribution issues. Everyone's kind of complained about that. We, on the implementation side, can't wait to get rid of a rigid setup. We'll also talk about sampling and aggregated reporting and all. And last, but certainly not least, those pesky cookies and the privacy and really deletion and user issues that they brought up. Now let's take, for instance, the complexity of a visit. All right, so let's take the hypothetical that somebody just adopted a 8.5-year-old Yorkie, and she's not very active. Being in a hurry, they're in the subway on a mobile device, and they click, luckily, on your paid ad. Then they click on the reply email, which creates a new session, and do a couple more actions. Perform a search on their toolbar while they're at work, which creates yet another session and perhaps yet another goal. They might still have all the pages still open while doing my social research into puppy pictures. I see your retargeted Facebook ad and click on it. Hey, it doesn't cost the user anything, right? And they continue to go through more different actions. Try to read through this kind of experience in Google Analytics Universal. Pure 30-minute sessions are rare. Pages were left open with the mobile and desktop browsers. Users may have several pages open at once, and a succession was difficult to track. Many other reasons why sessions and attribution really was a problem within Google Analytics Universal. Now let's be honest. Universal pathing reports were more of a burden than really insightful. First off, what happens in a user session is a bit useless without understanding what happened in their previous sessions. Too many assumptions can be made. Each channel having their own path, goals, or even worse. What if users dropped off at a certain point, but maybe came back later on in the journey? There was really no way to tell. Session-based tracking led to session-based attribution, which often led to misleading return on ad spend, or even worse, a disproportionate amount of direct users or untrackable users. While there were ways to extract, clean, analyze attribution data through the User Explorer or the rarely used attribution reports, it was more art than science. That being said, considering the session issues discussed, rely upon that data. This all led to a report-based system, not one that led to true exploratory reports. Okay, so we're all tired of hearing about attribution. I'm not going to lie, GA4 is no unicorn solution. However, learned a bit or two about its mistakes. The rigid setup. Based upon the back-end infrastructure of how Google Analytics processed the data on the back end, retroactive reporting was rare. Content groups were a complete nightmare if you didn't catch new content areas right away. Channel groups were a great way to read cleaned up sourced medium reports, but you better keep track of them and continue to update it. Custom channel groups were actually retroactive, which was great for non-aggregated reporting, but you could only use it inside Google Analytics. They couldn't be exported into any of your Google Data Studio reports. I don't think I need to talk too much about constant adjustment of goals and the nightmare presented when changes were made. I remember the excitement that ensued when Google learned that it wasn't all about a page view and events were introduced. I guess the program manager didn't quite understand object-oriented programming, though, and decided to limit properties to only a category, action, and a label. To compensate, custom dimensions and metrics were added later, but having to have user versus session versus hit-based scopes is difficult to manage, and oftentimes we needed to duplicate across all three use cases. Moving towards another area where the gas engine was just no longer relevant, sampled reports. How are you supposed to make any decisions on 10% of the data, especially without an option to see how and what is actually being sampled? There was a solution to this. It just cost about $120,000 a year for a GA4 license. Last but not least, with Universal, the name is starting to become a bit ironic, huh? Cookies were required. With 30% of users deleting their cookies within a month, with an average of deleting 4 times per month, forget about frequency metrics and new versus returning visitor rates. Last but certainly not least, There are more and more privacy regulations underway across the United States and across the globe. Google is getting in front of this so they can own it with the cookieless Chrome coming soon. In short, some of these changes are going to be lovely to get rid of, but like all change, it might be a bit painful. Yes, even more painful than moving from a 2012 to a 2023 Ford Mustang, but I think it's going to be worth it.